Hello. All right, we're going to give everybody a few minutes just in the room and then we're going to get started. Let me get this pulled up for you. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, but first I want to make sure we go over some housekeeping things. We are in a 100% no judgment space right now. We need to ask questions. We need to feel comfortable asking questions, making sure that we understand exactly what is happening with our finances today. And I know finances are always like a really touchy subject, so we get nervous and then we don't want to talk about them. But today we're going to talk about everything. If you have questions, you can put them in the comments. If it's something that we're going to cover, I will eventually get to it. But I 10 out of 10 recommend you join VIP because then we'll be able to do like a full in-depth dive of exactly what's going on with you and your situation. So let's start presenting. All right. I am Tiffany S. Griffin, and I am your host today. Let's see if Canva wants to cooperate. There we go. Is Canva going to cooperate? Let's see. Hold on. Don't we love technology? Okay. All right. So first of all, this is an educational workshop only. This is not financial advice. I cannot give you any information because I do not know your exact financial situation. So we are going to, hold on, let me stop sharing. There we go. Let me make sure that this is off. Hold on. Okay. All right. That way I don't get annoyed by messages. All right. So first, for educational purposes only. These are things that I've done. These are things that I have taught people how to do, and they've worked very successfully for them. But depending on what your situation is, you may need to consult with a licensed professional for your exact situation. So we are going to go ahead and get into everything. Let's see. All right. I love technology being technology. Okay. All right, so I am Tiffany S. Griffin, and I am going to teach you today about debt and finance and understand that there is no shame in it. We are just going to talk about it like we're having a Sunday conversation. So I'm in a hat, I'm dressed down, like this is a very comfortable conversation. We're going to break it down. We're going to make it super simple and stuff that, we quote unquote should have known, but we may not know. We're going to talk about all of those different things. So I believe in empowering you. So I want to help you make sure that you have clarity about what you're doing with your finances and what exactly is going on with your finances. All right. So let's start with a poll. I want to see if you've paid an overdraft fee in the last 12 months, or if you feel like you just can't get out of debt. And then if you're a renter or a homeowner, just put renter or just put homeowner in the comments. That way I can make sure that we cater this to basically who's watching right now. And then if either of the first two questions affect you, if you've either had an overdraft fee in the last 12 months or you just feel like you're stuck and like you can't get out of debt, put a yes in the comments, okay? All right. And oh yeah, to make sure that you can comment, you need to make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel because it will not let you comment if you are not subscribed. And that's perfect. So somebody's comment says if you live with your parents and you don't have your own place, that's a great scenario for you to be in because we're going to talk about how you can actually save more money while you're in that situation and how you can get yourself in a good position to purchase a house too. All right. So we're going to talk to the homeowners as well. Perfect. So this is pretty much for anybody that is trying to figure out what's going on with their finances. Like you feel like you're behind, you're dealing with overdraft fees, you don't understand why like you're paying your credit cards and it just doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Like you use them and you know that you're supposed to use them because you get rewards points or you're getting cash back, but you still feel like that card is maxed out all the time and you just don't know why. You don't know what's going on. Okay. Alrighty. So what you're going to walk away with, we're going to break down credit card statements, exactly how to read them, exactly how to understand exactly what's going on with them, understanding your loan, your interest rates, and your money leaks. And a lot of time, the money leaks that we have are the exact reason why we're not getting to the place that we want to be. We just don't know where our money is going and how it is pretty much affecting us. All right. So I do want to start by saying this. It is not a math problem. Okay. This is a pattern issue that we have. These are subconscious things that we were taught that we just didn't know that we were supposed to know. And nobody knew to teach us. Our parents didn't have the education to teach us. And we just may have stumbled across these in our life. So once we change our habits and our patterns, then we're going to be able to start to see some movement in our finances. All right. So here's the things that are killing us the most: our interest rates, the amount of minimum payments that we have, and then the compounding debt that happens because of the interest rates that we're currently paying. And it just makes you feel overwhelmed. It makes you feel like you're never going to get out of the situation that you're in because it just doesn't seem to move. It's not going anywhere, right? So let's start with the credit card statement. So we have our APR, our interest rate. That's what they tell you about when you're signing up for your credit card. When you're living at home and when you're younger, they send you a bunch of credit card offers the moment that you turn 18. When you look at those credit card offers, the biggest thing that you want to make sure that you look at is the interest rate that they're offering you. Anytime you see 30, 25, 10, 15%, you want to be careful, right? So the 30 and the 35 and the 29 and the 28 are typically what come to you in the mail. They're always going to offer you this great introductory rate of 0% interest. But the moment that that ends, you're stuck paying interest. And we're going to use that to our benefit. If they're going to offer us 0% interest, we're going to take that and leverage it just to get out of debt. We're not going to take it and leverage it to get into more debt. Does that make sense? So let's start with this statement first. They're going to give you your balance, right? What you spent last month and the credit payments that you made towards it. But here's the important part. Those payments that you made towards it, that previous cycle, you're not paying any interest on that. So sometimes what I've done is I've used my credit cards to pay the bills that I know that I have to pay. And I do this on a large lump sum type cycle. So if I know that my credit card reports on this date, I'm going to pay $500 towards my credit card right before it's going to report, and I'm not going to touch it. I wait for it to report, so that makes my credit utilization on my credit report look like I'm not using as much credit as I actually am. Once it reports, then I go back, I use that same credit card just to pay whatever bills that I need to take care of that take credit cards. So it might be my power bill, it might be my cell phone bill, it might be my water bill. I had to pay those bills anyway, but by paying that extra lump sum payment towards my credit card, I didn't have to pay interest on that amount of debt. Does that make sense? Make sure you're interacting in the comments because I want to make sure that I'm not explaining anything too quickly or going over anybody's head. And if it's not valuable to you, I want to know that too. That way I know that I need to go deeper. I wanted to make this class super basic, the entry level, so that we all can take something away from it. I don't want to, go too fast. All right. So what we're going to do when our credit card statement comes out, we're going to look at what our credit card statement dates are, and then we're going to compare that against our credit report. The date on your credit report that it says that it reports 1 to 2 days before that, you want to pay as much as you can afford to pay on it and not touch it. That way, it's going to show an increased amount of payments towards it, and then you're not paying any interest for that part. So this part right here is always on your credit card statement. I'm sorry. That big difference of $2,000, well, it's a $500 difference in this credit card statement by just making little extra payments. You're going to make an even bigger gap in it because your cycle is starting over. Now, there's certain credit cards that don't work like this, and I learned that the hard way. So like some of your credit cards, like furniture store credit cards or like Synchrony, they don't work like that. So even if you make the extra payment, it doesn't matter because they're looking at the balance on the day of the cycle. So if the balance is a certain amount, they're still going to charge you interest on that. So you have to pay those type of cards down and just kind of keep them down and treat them like a loan. But we're also going to avoid those as much as possible, unless if they have a promotional interest rate. All right, so we just talked about this. We're not ever making minimum payments again. That's the biggest way that they keep you stuck if you only make the minimum payment. Now, what I will say is sometimes we get in those situations where we are stuck, right? And the only thing that we can afford to do is the minimum payment. That's fine. Sometimes that it is going to be what it is, and you have to do that, right? But you always make at least that minimum payment so that it never hits late on your credit report. Whether it's $50 or $100 or $200, it depends on what your balance on that card is. But we never want it to show as late on our credit report because the extra $50 fee that you get just for being 1 or 2 days late, that does not help you. However, making that phone call just to ask, hey, can you waive this late fee? Sometimes gets that late fee taken away, and then that's $50 extra that you can go ahead and put towards the principal of that credit card statement. All right. Now let's say you're stuck, right? Let's say you've been approved for this $15,000 credit card and now your income reduced. You're going through a financial situation. Most credit card companies have hardship programs. If you enroll in one of their hardship programs, they will remove your interest. Sometimes they lower your interest. It depends on the program that you're in. But let's look at this statement, right? $25,000 is what is on this card, right? It says that if I make the minimum payments on this credit card, I'm going to spend $55,000 over 27 years just to get it paid off. But if I make a little bit more, like $300 extra a month, I'm going to make $30,000 in payments. So that $24,000, even though I don't immediately get it, is a big difference. And if I'm only making the minimum payments, I would never see that. But here's what I did. And this in itself is a deeper story that requires its own separate YouTube video to explain the scenario of what happened in this situation. But we're going to go into the financial assistance program that went on for this card. So, as you can see, it says you're currently enrolled in a payment plan. When you enroll in that payment plan, that interest rate changes. You didn't have to go do a credit inquiry to go get a loan. You enrolled in a payment plan directly with your credit card holder. That credit plan, depending on the credit card holder that you have, will have different terms. So it might say that they're going to close your account and you just need to make these payments. It might say that we won't report any late payments on you as long as you make the minimum payments over the course of this, or you have a longer time period. Instead of having to make the payments within 30 days, you have to make them within 60 days, or we won't charge you any late fees. We won't charge you any late fees as long as you stay enrolled in this program. So looking into the options and calling and asking questions is sometimes the best way to get help. Sometimes you have to ask for a manager. The first person that you talk to is not going to tell you about the hardship program. You have to ask multiple questions. You have to know exactly what to ask. And that's some of the things that we cover in VIP in the workbook. So you know what to say when you're calling to pick up the phone to talk to your credit card company. Because sometimes this debt feels overwhelming, right? And you don't want to file bankruptcy and you don't want to deal with that hitting your credit report. So what you do is you call and you ask for the hardship program. Now, hardship programs are on mortgages, they're on credit cards, they're on personal loans, they're on pretty much everything. You just have to get to the right department to be able to talk to them about that to see if you qualify for it. But I 10 out of 10 recommend it if you're trying to avoid filing bankruptcy because you feel like it's just a bunch of interest, right? All right, let's get into mortgage statements now, okay? So when you purchase a house, your house is going to have a principal. And they're going to show you, oh, you have, as of right now, probably like a 5.5, 5.7, 6% interest rate, right? When you purchase, every month at the beginning, the majority of your payment is going towards interest, right? So only $800 is going towards the principal. It's going to take you the full 25 or 30 years to pay off this house. And if we just take some time and we do the math, right? On 25 or 30 years of paying interest, that's a lot of money, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use our calculator, and we're just going to use this as an example, okay? Let me get the calculator pulled up real quick. And then I will show you, because I want you to see how much money you save by just doing little things like extra payments on your mortgage. And let me know, like, if this is valuable for you. Are we learning anything? All right. All right. Since that went away, Let's look at this real quick. All right, so let's say we bought a house, because now houses are about $400,000, right? And don't forget, in order to be able to comment, you have to be subscribed, because it will not let you comment if you are not. All right. So let's say we bought a house for $400,000. Let's say we put down 3.5 because it's an FHA loan. 30% interest, right? I'm sorry, 30 years and like a 6% interest rate. This is your amortization schedule. The loan was basically going to be for $340,000, but the total cost of the loan is $743,000, right? So let's say we just make an extra $100 of a payment. Every month, $100 extra of a payment. Now your total house cost is only $600,000. But let's say I double that. And let's say I do 200 extras every month. I'm getting lower. And let's say I'm in a really good position and I can do 500 extra a month. Now my house only costs me $568,000. Significantly faster. And I took years off of my loan. So I paid it off faster. And now that equity, I can do something with. I can choose to purchase another property. I can choose to pay down debt. I can use a home equity line of credit on it now to renovate my property. I can do so many different things by just making that small interest extra payment. All right. So let's go to the next section. Oops. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Our auto loan and our personal loan evaluation. So we need to figure out what's going to be best for us. Did you know that you can refinance your car, typically with credit unions? It has to be under 100,000 miles, but you can take your car, have equity in it, or even be very close, because some of them will refinance like 125% of the value of your car. And because it's a collateral-based loan, you'll get a better interest rate. So now your credit card that was charging you 15, 20, 30%, right? Now you're only paying 5% when you refinance it into your car and you pay it off. But the key is, once you pay off that credit card, you don't want to use it. You want to keep your credit utilization all the way down between 1% and 9%. That's how you're going to get yourself to that 750, 800 credit score. Okay? So when you're deciding between a personal loan or when you need to refinance, you want it to drop your payments about 2 to 3% at minimum. So like the interest rate needs to drop like 2 to 3%. And then the term of it, if you're going to keep refinancing, my rule is pay your previous payment. So now you have a lower payment, but if you pay your previous payment, let's say your previous payment was $500 and your new payment is $300, now you're going to get it paid off faster. You're paying less for the money that you're borrowing, and you're going to get out of debt faster. And some of the credit unions that I am going to recommend to y'all, there are benefits to that. When you make extra overpayments, they give you extra months. So let's say I've paid 2 or 3 months extra on my car payment or on my personal loan payment. Some of these credit unions that I'm going to list for you give you 2 or 3 months of a credit. So that means instead of my payment being due this month in February, my payment's not due until July or August or however far ahead I am. So if you do ever hit a financial situation and you need to wait on those payments, you can. But if you don't ever hit a financial situation, you get it paid off early, you save yourself some money. All right, now our credit score. Payment history, utilization, length of credit. You have to let the age hit. You have to keep that utilization down like we were talking about, between 1 and 9%. And the way that we were talking about earlier about hiding your debt is making sure that right before that statement hits or right before your report date hits, you pay off the credit card. You pay it off as much as you possibly can. And then after the reporting hits, then you can go and use that credit card to pay for bills. That helps you keep a positive payment history as well. It keeps you out of the situation of ever being late, because as soon as you have a late payment, it drops your credit score like 90 points. It doesn't matter if you were in the 700s, if you were doing really good and you've never had a late payment and it's your first one, it drops it immediately as soon as that late payment hits. So we're going to avoid those at all costs. Now, one of the things that I'm going to tell you about today is Monarch, and you can see it in the description. I definitely recommend that you sign up. It has credit monitoring and everything that you need within it. So you don't have to play any guessing games. You can see your credit score. You can see when all of your bills are due. And I absolutely love it. Now, we need to understand where our money is going, because if you don't know where your money is going, it's a lot harder to fix the problem. So we have fixed expenses, we have variable expenses, and then we have those leaks, which we're going to call those leaks our interest rates, our overdraft fees, our random subscription we didn't know that we still had. Those small little money leaks add up. So $5 here, $10 there, reoccurring subscriptions that we forgot about, we need to catch all of those and remember and or cancel them so that we get out of the situation, because $10 over the course of a year is $120. And $120 can be going towards paying off your debt, or it can be going towards an investment, or whichever direction you choose to take that extra $120 in. But the first thing we have to do is find them. Another profit leak that you have is in your utilities. Utilities can sometimes be negotiated if you have a deregulated market. So like, for example, in Georgia, gas is deregulated. So you should be shopping and comparing your gas rate every year and every time your contract expires, because otherwise you go to a variable rate instead of the fixed rate. Use things to your benefit. And you're going to be able to set alarms and reminders like within Monarch, so that way you can make sure that you're not missing any of these dates or any of these deadlines. The mortgage payments, those are fixed. You're going to have a mortgage every month, right? But when you go through your tax evaluation and your escrow is confirmed, you're going to end up potentially having an increase in that mortgage. And you want to be prepared for that. So we're getting in that cycle of avoiding being paycheck to paycheck, because we can't stay paycheck to paycheck forever and get out of our situation. Especially when you get to the place when you're talking about you want to start a business, you want to grow your business, you want to expand. And one of the things that I learned when I was working with a lot of small businesses is our personal finances weren't fully in line. So it's bled right over into our business. So we're going to get everything together. Again, like I said, we're in a non-judgment space. So we need to talk about all of these things so that we can do better, right? We're going to have a 3-account system. You have one account where your bills go. You have another account where you have play money. And then you have the third account for saving. You don't touch it. So what I do is I have a completely separate bank that is for saving, emergency fund, that it's hard for me to get to it. I have to think really hard. I have to like physically go into a bank because I don't have a credit card. I don't have a debit card. I don't have anything that pulls out of this account. So I physically have to go into this bank to go get it. And I made it really difficult. I made it like a credit union that isn't even with me anymore. So like I have to like go to a member service. So whatever it takes, separate your money. Now, if you're a W-2 employee, right, you can separate your money easily. You can separate it in your check. So you don't even see the money. It allows you to quickly save. So instead of your check going into one account, it goes into 3 accounts. One for your bills, you're going to add up and you know how much your bills cost you every month. Put all of that money into that account for the bills. It goes there first. You don't have to worry about it. Those bills then start to become on auto draft. That's how we like it. But we're going to inspect our money still, despite the fact that our bills are on auto draft. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to all sign up for Monarch. And here's what Monarch does for you. It gives you 7 days free. You don't have to pay anything. It's going to ask you for your credit card information when you do sign up. But when you sign up and it asks you for your credit card information, it asks you if you want a reminder right before the 7 days is up. It will send you a reminder to make sure that you remember to cancel it if you feel like it's not for you. But the amount of information that you are going to be able to see and the way that it does everything for you, I don't think that you're going to want to cancel. Not only that, because you're here, you get 50% off for the first year. So normally the price of a year is $100, $99. Your first year is only going to be $49. So for $49, you're going to be able to put all of your money, all of your finances, all in one place. If you're married, you can do it with your spouse. Y'all can do it together, right? You can see how the money is moving. You can monitor your credit, right? You can see everything, how much you're spending on groceries, how much you're spending here, how much you're spending there. That's how you're going to get control of your finances, okay? If you don't know where your money is going, you will not get control of your finances. And it feels overwhelming when you have to put it in this spreadsheet sometimes, right? But sometimes that's what it takes. Like you need to print out your statements. You need to print out your bills, okay? We're quick to turn on paperless billing, and I forgot to touch on this, so I'm going to go back real quick. We're quick to turn on paperless billing, but when you have a credit card that has a variable interest rate on it, you will miss that they're raising your interest rate. You will miss that notification. So make sure that if you turn on paperless billing that you are still opening your statements because they are giving you information that matters. Do not forget to read all of the details. So if paper works better for you, keep your paper on. If paperless works for you, just make sure you take your day. I do weekly dates with myself for my finances. So on a weekly basis, after I get paid, I'm like, all right, where did I spend all my money from? Where did the money go? Did I spend too much on food this week? Did I spend too much on gas this week? What do I need to do for next week? What bills are coming out next week? And that's another thing that I love about Monarch. It has a calendar in it. So it tells you roundabout when your bills are going to come out. And you can see, okay, I get paid here, and then these bills are going to come out. So definitely click that link. The link is also like around your worksheet, like it is everywhere. But make sure you include the promo code, because if you don't include the promo code, you're going to pay full price. But include the promo code, and then the first year is only $50. Okay? All right. Overdraft fees. These are another silent killer that we were talking about, right? We don't even bank with banks that do overdraft fees anymore. We bank with banks that don't offer them. So Capital One is a great option that I love personally. Capital One doesn't do overdraft fees, they don't do minimums, and they don't do banking fees. They also have high yield savings accounts where you make interest on your money. So if you look at your current bank account, it's probably paying 0.05% if that, or 0.025% or 0.25%, a very small percentage. Typically, to get about a 3% interest rate, they make you like put your money in a CD and you can't touch it. Versus Capital One and these high yield savings accounts, they give you 3% regardless and you still get access to your money. And some of them have higher. But Capital One specifically, no banking fees, no minimums, no, and they pay you great interest on your savings account. So if we're dealing with overdraft fees, it's time to switch because you need to get in control of your money. And when you sign up for Monarch, you're going to be able to see all those fees that you paid over the year too. So how much did it actually cost you just having that bank? Did you have to pay them a fee to have the account? Did you have to pay them fees every time you overdraft it? Like those things have to go away to help you gain the freedom that you need. All right. The payday loans, the title loans, and the pawn cycle, right? It is easy to feel desperate and to feel like you have no other options. But I promise you, there's always another option. So instead of the payday loans, right, we would do a personal loan. Now, this is why maintaining your credit and keeping it intact is so important. So somebody asked how we keep our utilization down. We're making extra payments right before the reporting date. So by keeping our utilization down on our reporting date, it's going to make it look like you're only using 1 to 9% of your credit availability. And that's what gets you that 700, 850 credit score. In addition to other factors, but that's an important piece in it because utilization is a large portion of your credit. Now, there are apps that you can use now instead of payday loans where they're like, oh, you can cash out your check early, but you have to read those terms and conditions. So if you're going to do one of those, you do one that doesn't charge you any fees, that doesn't charge you any interest because they exist now. Title loans, we don't do that. We go to the credit union and we refinance our car. Okay? We don't do pawning. We go, we get a collateral-based loan, preferably on a vehicle, preferably on a home if necessary. But we don't want to do our home unless if it's absolutely necessary. The goal is to stay ahead of things. The goal is to know where your money is going, to understand why you're in this desperate place in the first place. And sometimes it happens. We have medical things come up. We have life happen. We have unemployment. But medical things coming up, that's a hardship. That's a conversation that we need to have. We need to have the conversation with our credit card company, with our mortgage company, because there are different programs that they can put you in. Now, sometimes for certain programs with your mortgage, you have to get to the place of being behind. But sometimes with credit cards, you don't have to get to the place of being behind. They don't want you to get behind. They're there to make money off of you. So if they can figure out a way to make sure that you're able to make your payments, they rather take that option. Because if you file bankruptcy and it gets negotiated, they don't get as much money. So we're going to look at our options. We're not going to do a payday loan with a high interest rate. And we're not going to do a title loan because we don't have to. Now we know better. We don't have to take that route. So those high APR interest rates, right, that seem crazy, and the buy here, pay here, will finance your furniture. We're not doing those anymore. We're not doing the high interest rate options of renting our furniture. Because when you start to look to see how much you paid for that furniture, we were better off going on Temu and using Affirm and buying cheaper furniture Because sometimes Affirm will give you a great interest rate that's lower than your credit card. So if that's the case and I'm going to get it paid off faster, why not? So our smarter alternative, we keep talking about them and we're going to keep talking about them. We go to credit unions. We know our interest rates before we go in. We compare our rates to see who has the better offer. And before we even allow them to run our credit, we know what their minimum requirements are. Because what we don't want to do, we don't want to have a bunch of people running our credit to see if I can get approved or if they'll give me the money. We want to know that when we make this application that we are going to get approved. So we might do a soft inquiry, but even before we do the soft inquiry, we call and we ask questions. Hi, what are the minimum requirements for your loan? My credit is frozen, so I don't want to unfreeze my credit unless if I know that I'm going to qualify. What are your incentives? So, for example, I had a lower interest rate at a credit union, but I needed to refinance because I needed to reduce my payments and I needed to pull out some of the money so that I could pay off my credit cards. Well, their incentive for the credit union that I ended up going with was because my interest rate was lower, they automatically gave me the floor rate. So it didn't matter what my credit report said. It didn't matter that I only had a 650 at the time. All they cared about was that I was bringing the loan from somebody else to them. So I got the lowest rate that they had available. With one inquiry, I got a personal loan and I got a car loan. By getting one inquiry, I was able to reduce the damage to my credit. So yes, I opened 2 new accounts at the same time, which affects the age on your credit report. But I also only had to have one inquiry instead of 5 from searching. So it was beneficial. So we have a few debt payoff options, which this I also love about Monarch. It helps you with these debt payoff methods. You can do Snowball or you can do Avalanche. So Snowball focuses on paying off the smallest debt first, and then Avalanche focuses on paying off the highest interest first. And it depends on what's going to work best for you for mental clarity. And then depending on the balance of each of those different interest rates, the amount of money that you're going to save will make a difference. All right. So know your rates, and that's a power that we're going to have. Okay. Knowledge is the first thing that we need to know, and you have control over knowing that. So we're going to print out our credit card statements, we're going to print out our loan documents, and we're going to call and we're going to ask the questions and we're going to start looking at them. And if we don't know what we're looking at, that's what we're going to get into VIP, where we're going to be able to answer all those questions, because now you have it in front of you and you can see how this directly affects you. Okay. But knowledge is power for everything. So for every month you wait to start paying off your debt, that's costing you money. And we don't want to pay the banks any more money than we absolutely have to pay them. And we've gotten into this trap and into this cycle of, I needed this, or I had this emergency. We're just going to do it a smarter way, right? An extra $150 can make a big difference, right? We talked about overdraft fees. Fee free, that's what we want. Anybody that's charging us a fee, we don't want to bank with them, right? We're redirecting our deposits to the bank that we choose. Now, when you're looking at your banks, like I said, we want to make sure they offer those high yield savings accounts. Keep your money separate, right? Make sure we're setting up auto pay on our bill account, right? Now, the first week, because you can get reset, you can get realigned all within 30 days, right? The first week, you need clarity. You have to understand where your money is going, what you can cut back on. The second week, you're putting in structure, right? But realistically, you can do all of that in week 1 and week 2. All of those can be done together as long as you use Monarch. It just takes a little bit longer when you're using a manual process like the spreadsheet. But if you use Monarch, it makes it super easy, super simple. And then week 3, we're finishing our debt strategy. But within Monarch, once you get all your accounts connected and once you get all of your banking set up, it shows you your debt payoff plan. It shows you how to get out of debt with the information that you need. It knows your interest rate. It shows you exactly how much money you will be saving when you use Monarch. So I'm pushing it for a reason because the goal in 2026 is let's get out of debt. Let's stop paying people, well, mostly the banks, for extra money that we've already spent and don't remember what we spent it on. Okay? And sometimes we just don't implement because we feel overwhelmed. And I get it. It feels stressful. Money can be scary. There's a lot going on, right? But it's not scary. You just have to understand what you're looking at. And sometimes it's just that you don't have accountability and you don't have support. But now you have somebody that you can be accountable with, right? We don't need to struggle. We live in abundance. We're living in chaos currently, and now we're going to live with clarity. When you live with clarity, it starts to make sense. When you have clarity, you understand, okay, I need to make this much money. When you're a business owner and you're starting a side hustle, you understand because you have clarity, my overhead costs this much, I need to make this much money, right? And fear of failure. We're going to fall, we're going to bump our head, we are going to make mistakes, and that is okay. We're not going to get it right, we're not going to get it perfect. This webinar is a prime example of not getting it right and not getting it perfect, but what did we have to do? We had to start. We had to start having these conversations. The text messages didn't go out, the emails didn't go out, but we made a way around it. We made sure everybody had what they needed to go ahead and get started today. But if I let fear stop me, if I let shoulda, woulda, couldas, or perfectionism stop me, we wouldn't be here. Sometimes we just have to start. And rule number 1 is we execute, okay? So right now, I need to make sure that y'all have executed. I want to make sure that y'all signed up for Monarch for your 7-day free trial because at the very least, you need to get your clarity. And I do not want you to forget to use that promo code so that you get it for $50. And if this year you can get yourself to pay off all of your debt, or you can get the clarity to get yourself to pay off most of your debt, so you're no longer in that rat race, so that you're no longer in paying payments, okay, that feel like they're consuming you. That's the goal. Information is transformation, and implementation is going to be your results, okay? So remember, you can always join the VIP experience where we go in depth about all of these things, okay? And I'm just happy y'all joined me. I hope I gave y'all some value. Thank you. I hope you learned something. If you didn't get something or you feel like you have questions, right? I'll take a couple questions in the comments real quick, just so I can make sure everybody got something from this. Because this is just a Sunday conversation. There's no judgment. You are in an absolute safe space. All right. Now, VIP, we're going to be serious. We're getting prepared. We want to engage. We want to implement on the things that we just learned. We want to get out of debt. We want to take control of our finances. We want to understand where we're losing money, how we can gain control of our money. And you don't have to be stuck. You have support now. All right. So if you joined VIP today, and I'll say you have to join before the next time I do this. So I'm going to do another webinar. I'm going to promote it. This was the very first one. I didn't promote it super hard. I wanted to make sure we worked out all the technical difficulties. I wanted to make sure everything was going to go smoothly. Let's give you something extra. We're going to have a community. You're going to have your personal guidance. You're going to be able to get access to me. We're going to ask questions. We are safe. We're going to learn new things. We're going to try new things. And we're going to get our budget under control. Okay? So now I hope we have some clarity. We have insight. We have some direction. And we have some reassurance. Right? I believe in each and every one of you because I know that we just weren't taught some stuff. And once we are taught the things, I know we can do it. I know we can get out of debt. I know that we can be in great financial places. And I never want you to feel like you're behind. We just weren't taught. And that's okay. Because now we're making the decision that we are going to learn, that we are going to teach ourselves, we are going to get involved in some things. Okay? All right. Let's turn off the screen share real quick. And let's see if we have any questions. Yeah, let's see if we have any questions that we need to answer. Did y'all learn something today? I just want to make sure. John said, I think this was a great webinar. Thank you. Hi, Fluffy. Fluffy said, yeah, absolutely. Do we have any questions before we end? It's almost 5 o'clock, and I promised I was only going to take an hour of your time. And I only took an hour. Okay. We will work through the spreadsheet in VIP so that you know exactly how to use it. We're going to have another link that you should have access to. And once we get on that VIP meeting, we'll go through the spreadsheet and we'll go through Monarch as well because, the worksheet. Got you. Let me get that pulled up. 1 second. And I might have to share my screen again. All right. So let me share my screen again. And let's go through the worksheet real quick because what's the point in providing a free resource if we can't use it? So that I feel like is 100% fair. All right. So here is the worksheet. All right. Let's see where we are right now. Okay. And you need to be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, none of this works. You have to be honest with yourself. Everything that you check off is for you. Nobody else sees it. It's just what you check. So if you've paid an overdraft fee, right? If you're only paying the minimum, right? Or you don't know the interest rate on your biggest debt. Just click it. This is your reference for you to know what you're doing. Okay? Oh. And the worksheet went with, what we were going over in the webinar. So, what was a pattern that you need to recognize, like within your finances? So, if let's say your pattern is you subscribe to things and you forget them, right? So, you thank you. Let's say you subscribe to things and you forget them, right? That might be your pattern problem. You're subscribing to things left and right. Or let's say um, you're overspending. And Monarch is going to be something that helps you see if you're overspending or not. You're spending too much on fast food. You're spending too much eating out. You're not cooking. You're just grabbing things off the shelf. That might be your pattern. But that's a self-reflection that you have to look at yourself and see. Then you have your credit card. You're going to type in your credit card. You can name it ABC credit card, right? And let's just do that. And let's say your current balance is $1,000 and your statement balance was $1,500, right? And let's say your APR is 20%. It's telling you you're at a trap. 20% APR on $1,000 balance, you're paying $17 a month just in interest. We can't pay that much in interest. Not every time. Now, this you have to type in yourself based on your credit card statement, how much it's charging you in interest. Because depending on the type of credit card, like I was saying earlier, some of them do it based on the balance of the statement date. Some of them do it based on the average balance throughout the loan. And we didn't actually touch on that. That applies to car loans too. So I make weekly payments on my car loans. And the reason why I make weekly payments is because they're doing it on an average daily balance. So each week, because I'm making $100 payment here or a $50 payment here, instead of making one $400 payment, some of my weeks are charged at a lower interest rate than other weeks. So because each credit card statement is going to be a little bit different, it's going to allow you to type in your interest that it's charging you, because it can't tell like what payments you made, right? Okay. So your total credit card debt is $1,000 and your total monthly interest is $16 roundabout. Okay. And then for mortgage, call it whatever you want to call it, because this is your safe space. But this worksheet doesn't save, so it's just like something that you can it's something that you can just kind of play with. So in VIP, you have a workbook. Okay. In VIP, you have a workbook that you also have access to that gives you better step-by-step information on how to use this. And then in VIP as well, you get full hand-on, hand-holding group conversations and support of actually going over your finances and what questions you have for your specific finances. Now, when we're trying to lower our interest rate, we can do it a few different ways. We can get a 0% interest rate credit card and do a balance transfer. But before we do a 0% interest rate credit card, we need to make sure that we have our credit in line first. So if we haven't been making our minimum payments, if our credit isn't where it needs to be, we're going to have to be a little bit more structured, right? And by getting it to a point of where it needs to be, I'm talking about 650 of a credit score. You don't have to have a 700. You don't have to have a perfect credit score when you're working with credit unions because their interest rates are naturally lower and it gets you out of the cycle that you're currently in. So the VIP for $57 is I think what VIP is now. It's not personal one-on-one mentorship, it's a group membership. So everybody that's in VIP with you, it's having those group conversations. My goal right now is to make sure we're getting everybody in a position of getting out of debt. I don't want to charge what it would cost to work with me on an individual basis until I get everybody into a position of we're getting out of debt, we're scaling, we're growing to where we need to be. So this is genuinely, I want to help everybody. I want us to get in a place of where we need to be. But, and to be clear, this is not an upsell. The VIP was a mention at the very beginning before the webinar started, and I made the VIP sale as soon as you signed up for the webinar. So if you happen to join and not go through like the regular sign up process, then that's how you missed it. But everything was offered in the very beginning. This is, not an upsell because I didn't want anybody to feel like, oh, I came to this free webinar and I didn't learn anything and you're just trying to sell me something at the end of it. I hate feeling like that when I go to webinars. So this was making sure that we could learn everything. And I'm sorry, I'm looking sideways reading comments. All right. So when you get to the resource page, Bob, can you actually put the link for the resource page in just so that I can click it real quick to pull it up? And yes, in the group coaching, yes, it is up to you if you want to look at your bills specifically. You're just in a group environment. So as long as you're comfortable sharing, we're, in a safe space at that point, and you can always ask those questions. Personal coaching will definitely come later. I'm not going to take it off the table. Bob, did you put the link for that in the chat for me so I can just grab it? And then I can go over the resource page real quick. Oh, and the resource page is not cooperating, so we'll get that corrected for you. And you'll be able to see the resource page. But I can actually just show you some of the things that are in the resource page real quick. And I think we only gave this to VIP, but we're like 5 minutes over for me to start with the VIP people. But let me just show you this real quick. There is a link. It basically has links to all of the different credit unions that you can apply to that currently as of today have interest rates lower than 10% interest. And it's credit unions all over the country. So depending on what state you're in or where you're at will depend on if you qualify for them. And that's why we gave you so many options of people that are offering lower interest rates so that you can sign up with them instead. Okay. All right. Now I have the right page, so let me just give that to you real quick. All right, so this was the financial reset that we're doing, and these are our resources. So you have your credit repair and score building, your budgeting, your saving, your debt payoff strategy and calculators, and then like different government programs that you can reach out to, debt settlement and bankruptcy. I avoid bankruptcy at all costs, and like I said, we just talked about some of those options to make sure that we don't have to do that, working directly with the lenders. But these are a bunch of resources that are available for you, just so that you can get access to them. And then some nonprofits that you can use as well, so that you can save money, right? And some budgeting tools. But like I said, the budgeting tool that I recommend is Monarch. Monarch is everything that you need. And we're going to update this, so Monarch will probably be the main one on here. But it lets you see everything. It lets you see how much you spent on everything that you do. And it lets you see how you're going to get your debt paid off faster. Okay. And then some extra financial literacy courses, and then different debt payoff strategies. All right. So for anybody who signed up for VIP, you should have another link that you were sent. We are going to end our free YouTube live stream, and we are going to get into that room. The price was cheaper before the webinar, but it is now $57. So if you sign up, I would love to see you. But regardless of whether you sign up for VIP or not, make sure that you sign up for Monarch, because Monarch is going to be your key to financial clarity and your key for making this easier. You're going to integrate your bank accounts with Plaid. You're going to be able to see everything that you need to see. Okay. So thank you for, spending the last hour and 9 minutes with me. I am so glad I was able to teach you something. I'm glad you were able to learn something. And we'll do this again. So the VIP is $57, and Monarch is $50 as well. You have to use the promo code. It is in the description of the webinar, so you should be able to see it in the description. Make sure you type in Monarch VIP. So you get 7 days free. So there's no reason why you shouldn't sign up. You get 7 days for free. Import all of your finances. You need to be an action taker. You need to do this today. You need to sign up today. You need to integrate all of your bank accounts today. So that way you can start getting the clarity. As soon as you integrate all of your bank accounts, it starts doing all of the work for you. It tells you how much you spent on food last month. It tells you how much income you made. It tells you how much you spent on your debt payments. It tells you everything that you need to see for your finances. So it's giving you full financial clarity almost instantaneously. And then once you get in there, they just added this feature of goals where it's the debt payoff goal. And that's where we're going to spend a lot of our time on, making sure that we use the debt payoff goals to get everything done and taken care of, getting out of debt. And then we can play through like some refinancing and things like that. But I absolutely love Monarch because of everything that you can see, and they make it look pretty and like little charts and things. So it makes it easy. And you can check the little reminder when you're signing up for Monarch. I don't know if everybody's signed up yet, but perfect. You can check the little checkbox on Monarch, and you can see that it's going to say, remind me in 7 days. So in 7 days, if you don't want to subscribe, it's going to send you that email reminder. But $50 for an entire year of financial clarity, I don't feel like we can beat. Yep. All right, but I gotta go. I promised VIP that we would start. If you signed up for VIP, I cannot wait to see you. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. If you're later after the live stream is over, we'll update the links, give you some links that you can join us with. And let's just have, fun conversations about getting our finances together in a safe, non-judgmental space. Bye.